What is up, y'all? It's your girl Brand New, and I'm back in the building. And I'm coming back at you with a recap of Married to Medicine. This is season 5, and this is the reunion part 1. So let's get started. Let's first look at the outfits. I'm going to judge these ladies from the best to the worst. First off, Toya was my favorite look. I love her hair. It being pulled back. I just loved it. I love the black. Second, I'm going to go with Mariah. I'm going to go with Mariah. I really liked her dress. Pretty, just like a normal, long, pretty blue gown. I thought it looked good with the blonde hair. Next, I'm going to go with Quad's jumpsuit. And what did Toya have on? Was it Gucci? What the hell was that? I know it was name brand, whatever the hell it was. I can't even fucking see it. I'm watching it as I talk with you guys. So yeah, Toya, Mariah, Quad had on a similar jumpsuit to what Nene had on. I felt like Quad looked good in it, and I also liked her hair. Next, I'm going to go with Heavenly. I liked the silver dress. I liked the color, but I don't know if I liked how it really, I don't know. I didn't like the off the shoulder part of it. I didn't like that. I felt like that could have been better. Next, I'm going to go with Contessa, but Contessa, that wig was not good. You should have did a long black hair, like a Naomi Campbell, long black hair, and you really would have shut it down. I did like your outfit, but with your hair being the way that it is, I don't know. It just fucked up everything for me. So, I don't know, you guys. I pretty much, I wasn't feeling her hair. Next would be, Jackie. I didn't like what Jackie had on. I felt like it was, I don't know. She's very thin, and I just felt like the pants, they looked too baggy. I didn't like it. I felt like she could have, just showed some leg, a nice black dress, and, I don't know. She could have had maybe her chest out or something a little bit more. I know she's a small lady, but really show your long physique and your long legs, and, so... Next is Simone. Simone always gets it wrong because she is the worst dressed person on this show to me. I did not like the curls. She is somebody else that should have did like a long, some long hair. I actually liked, Simone's hair on the show, where it was just, I don't know. It was when they were going to, the second trip. I liked it the second trip. Was it in curls or something? But it was better than this look at the reunion. I really did not like that. So Andy mentions to the ladies, most doctors keep their private lives private. He also mentions that, the ladies have chosen to share their lives on a reality show. So he pretty much asked the ladies, how does that play in? How do you manage the two? And Simone pretty much mentions how she has a very personal relationship with all her patients because, she says, I'm a human being first. So I like to connect with people in a real way. And I really like what she said. You could really tell Simone loves her job. Andy asked Heavenly, and it was funny because he was just like, well, does your patients ever ask you to watch your mouth or watch your anger? Heavenly says that her patient says that she's funny and, they make her laugh. And she pretty much makes the show, and everybody is laughing and looking at her like, oh, you the show now, huh? And to me, I heard that Heavenly wasn't on the first season. I had always wanted to see the first season, but honestly, you guys, if she's not on that first season, I don't want to see it. Heavenly is actually one of my favorites on here. I know she goes back and forth with the whole calling, Mariah's mother, yo mama. But at the same time, Mariah, I feel like your mother shouldn't be on the show making her fucking comments. That bitch be on your Facebook Live making her little comments and shit. So I feel like if you don't want nobody saying yo mama, then you shouldn't have your motherfucking mother on the show. That's how I feel about that. So Andy took a comment from social media, and the person pretty much said, Toya, you said that it was your job to be your husband's everything. And they basically was like, well, do you feel like Quad, is she her husband's everything? So Toya answers the question and pretty much says, you know what? Well, all Gregory ever asks from Quad is for a child. And she said pretty much, no, Quad is, she's not everything to her husband. She doesn't do everything her husband asks her to do. And that is true. I do not at all advocate them having a child now because their relationship is broken apart. I'm not one of them people. But Quad, you keep saying that, oh, well, I'm not going to bring a child into the world right now. You didn't want to bring one into the world with him when shit was actually going good with you. You always talk about your career. So, I just feel like you guys, she's not into him. She doesn't want to have a child with him. And that's just that. I really do feel like she married him because he was a doctor. I really do feel like that. Like there was some social climbing with her. And now that she has gotten to where she needs to be, she doesn't feel like she needs him. You could just see it in her whole demeanor. And Dr. G, though, he's wrong too for his one-sided way of thinking of, what a wife should be. And, oh, well, a wife should do this and do that. And I pay for everything. And I've been taking care of you since the day I met you. And I laugh and joke, y'all. That shit was funny when he said it, but you don't say stuff like that to your wife. Your job is to protect and honor your wife and not be throwing money in her face. And it's just very disrespectful. It's almost like he resents her that he's had to take care of her. So I don't like that. And Quad pretty much mentions that, there has been some resentment towards Dr. G, because Toya had mentioned that, you never gave him, that child and, you're not his everything. And Quad says, I've always tried to be his everything, but, we argue too much. There's so much resentment. And Toya was like, I see that. The resentment shows, it really does show you and not in the best light. That's pretty much what Toya was saying to her. And I agree with that. I feel like Dr. G and Quad's relationship, like I said, it is both of their faults. I can't just blame one. I got to blame both. So they get to Contessa's segment, and once they play all the past footage of what happened throughout the season, she ends up crying and saying that she feels like her life is pretty much falling apart while she's been on TV. So Andy brings up, you gave us a Married to Medicine first. You hung up your white coat to be a stay-at-home mom. And, she had ended up, I guess, being a stay-at-home mom for about 6 months. But she ended up revealing that, she does still practice medicine. It's just part-time while the kids are in school. And, I guess she's there for them when they get out of school. So it's just a better balanced schedule. She said she was going crazy being at home all the time. And I can imagine that. It looks like it would get, boring just sitting at home, waiting on the kids to get out of school. So Andy brings up Miss Renee to Mariah and says that Miss Renee made She was acting a motherfucking fool at Mariah's Mother's Day brunch. And immediately, Mariah took up for Contessa and was just like, Miss Renee was just very disrespectful to Contessa. And, Contessa did not deserve that. So then Contessa jumps in and she's getting all fucking defensive. And it's just like, bitch, why you can't see this shit for what it is? So Contessa is sitting up here, saying, well, no, what you saw was, when she was with the kids, she was really good. But then you saw her dynamic with me as her employer. So Contessa is still on the defense saying that, Miss Renee, how she was played out to be on the TV show is she pretty much came off as a joke. She was really important in Contessa's life. And Contessa, all I have to say to you is, because Contessa began to get on this thing where there was some classism involved because Miss Renee was not polished and wasn't a doctor and wasn't upper echelon like the rest of the ladies. They just didn't understand her. But bitch, respect is respect. The bitch was out of line. She was disrespectful towards you. These ladies are sitting up here trying to have your back, and why you just can't appreciate that. That lady was disrespectful to you. And what I hear when I hear Contessa talk like that, you guys, is fear. Because if you look at it, you have this lady that was negative towards you out of your life. Now you're back on a good schedule. You still can practice medicine and be there for your kids. So what's the problem? You got rid of the negativity, but you sitting up here taking up for this bitch that disrespected and dogged you. And you sitting up here trying to blame it on what? Editing or the way these ladies... these ladies are stuck up to you. No, it was Miss Renee. She was a bitch. She was rude to you. Accept it and move on. You sitting up here trying to take up for somebody saying how they are your mother, and Toya got on your ass like you sitting up here trying to take up for her. How can you call this lady your mother still? And she was like a mother to you and she was calling you a bitch. And I totally agree with Toya. That is not loving. That is not respectful. Oh, and let's get on that Contessa. She go get on in there on Toya, because after Toya has said, oh, well, my mother wouldn't call me a bitch. And then Contessa said, well, I wouldn't talk to my dad about my sex life. Those are apples and oranges, bitch. If Toya feels comfortable about talking to her dad about her sex life, that is her business. Everybody has different relationships with their parents where they feel comfortable about talking about certain things. So for you to bring that up, you're still defensive. You don't have a fucking backbone and you need to get your shit together. See, you didn't sit up here and went off on Heavenly throughout the season because you felt like she was being disrespectful. But it's okay for Miss Renee to be disrespectful because she takes the place of your mom. You need to get your shit together, Contessa, and sit your ass down. So Andy asked, try to be funny and ask, that fucking Heavenly to spell Contessa's name. Cause y'all know that she says Contessa's name like Contessa. And then that Contessa goes shoot back. Well, that's only if she's capable. You got all this mouth, Contessa, but none for Miss Renee. Bye, child. Is your wig squeezing your brain, sweetie? So like I said, she gets all defensive with Heavenly talking about, well, let me let you know off top, I'm not to be messed with. You got all this mouth, but none for Miss Renee. Like I said, you guys, it's just, something is wrong with her. Like, she needs some fucking counseling. Okay, so they get on Contessa having quads back on the whole situation with Heavenly telling Quad she should have just went on ahead and gave Greg a baby. That's why he's, acting funny with her now. Contessa, that was another situation where your opinions were not needed. You do not know these ladies like that, and you should have kept your opinions to yourself. You go sit up there and say, well, I don't see how another woman could tell another woman what to do. You don't tell people what to do, and you don't know the situation. This bitch has not gave him a kid. And I'm not saying they need to have one, but This bitch always made excuses about why she could never give her husband what they needed. They had plenty of money to have the baby, you know. So how are you dipping yourself in this situation? I didn't like that, you guys. I felt like she should have minded her own business. So they get to Toya and Eugene and him working all those extra shifts and Toya not getting no ding ding, honey. So Andy asks Toya is she still on the twice a month plan with her sex life, and she says since those taxes are paid off, hell no, they've been getting it on, you know, sometimes 2 and 3 times out the damn week. So then Toya gets off into, you know, Eugene has lost a lot of weight, and the more weight he loses, the bigger his thing gets. And then Contessa is like, excuse me, she's like, oh, well, no, that's not true. That's not true. And then Mariah talking about, well, no, you could just see it more now. And I was cracking the fuck up. So Toya lets us know that Eugene has a new position. He doesn't work nights. He doesn't work weekends. He's closer to home. You know, everything is back on track. And she seems really happy about that.
The weekends, my baby is home. I mean, everything right now is such a blessing.
Contessa, you had a lot to say about Toya's In the Black party.
Are we having a party to celebrate paying our financial responsibility? It's dumb. It's like stating the obvious. Like, I take care of my kids. I pay my bills. Like.
So Toya mentions that the only reason why they included their friends is because their friends was with them through, you know, this whole process of them owing the back taxes. They showed it all on TV, so they wanted to include their friends into their celebration moment, and I completely understand that. Toya gets on how Contessa has, you know, been hating on her about that party, and, you know, she just feels like, look, Contessa doesn't know much and can't be supportive, and she hasn't been there. And y'all, Contessa was just really, I don't know about you guys, she's just being very unlikable. I don't give a fuck if you a doctor, you've been in the Navy, I don't give a fuck. Contessa is annoying and they don't need her. Where my girl Janice at? How you doing, Janice? Where you at, girl? So one of the people on social media, they pretty much mentioned to Toya how, you know, Eugene was picking up all those extra shifts, and, you know, how about you giving the man a hot bath and giving him some oral, you know, giving him some oral sex. And Toya was pretty much, well, we do take a lot of hot baths. That's how we talk about a lot of our issues. And as far as oral is concerned, Eugene don't really like how I do that, you know, but then that's just what Eugene says. And then the girls start trying to tell her, hey, be quiet, you saying too much. And that motherfucker Toya goes on and on trying to explain herself, trying to get out of the hole that she done put herself in. So basically what Toya meant, what she was saying was, she's just not that girl that's gonna deep throat and be, you know, sucking all on the balls and doing all that shit. And I'm with you, Toya. You will fuck around and gag on that shit. So Andy gets to talking about how Heavenly has got a prescription on being a better person and how she needs to adjust her meds. So they pretty much show clips of Heavenly getting into it with people and telling people how she's on a spiritual journey, and, you know, that shit with Jewel, and y'all already know how I feel about that. Heavenly is going to be Heavenly. She's just going to say what she need to say. She don't really need Jewel in that way. She just is who she is, and these bitches on this show, they know that. So Andy asks all the ladies on the show, how do they feel that Heavenly is doing on her better person journey? Simone mentions how Heavenly has, you know, been on the spiritual journey for about 2 years, but she's been moonwalking on that motherfucker. She ain't really been, you know, taking it seriously. She's been backsliding a bit. Toya feels like Heavenly is, you know, not doing good on her spiritual journey. And sometimes Heavenly is just flat out mean. You know, Toya mentioned that Heavenly was talking about her weight. And so Toya gets into this thing of, well, you need to be careful, Heavenly, because you don't know my walk. And my thing is this, Toya, I understand how you feel But I feel like when Heavenly said what she said about your weight, your ass being big, your ass is big. It's not like you're fat, but you know, you do have a big ass. So it's just like, y'all joke around, you know, that's just a part of the show. Y'all joke around. I don't feel like she was attacking your weight. Now, I have felt like Jackie was coming at you about your weight, but I felt like the shit Heavenly was doing, it was kind of just lighthearted fun, you know, so I don't understand why Toya was getting so much up in her feelings about that. Toya mentions how she used to vomit her food and take all this diet medication, you know, and I didn't know about that, but I just, like I said, y'all, I don't feel like Heavenly was really trying to be nasty to her. And Heavenly ends up getting, you know, in her feelings a bit, because she's just like, when I was saying that shit about your weight, you know, I was just on some jokey type shit. I didn't know it was so serious, but shit, I'll just stop joking. And then everybody's like, no, we want you to, you know, we want you to be who you are, you know, just kind of watch how you say things. But it's just like, it's not that big of a deal. Jackie mentions how her and Heavenly go to church a lot together, and, you know, she feels like Heavenly makes jokes to deflect. You know, she still, even though she's lost all that weight, she still, you know, I don't know. It's not like she feels insecure, but she deflects to just try to make things a joking manner, even when things may be serious. That's just how she is. So next, Toya and Jackie get into it about Jackie's comments, which I have felt were more, you know, way more inappropriate than Heavenly's, because Jackie is a really small woman, and, you know, y'all, she be on that whole health kick. But Jackie was pretty much saying to Toya, you know, you comment about your weight too, and you be making jokes and shit about it, so you can't get mad at us and, you know, make us feel bad for saying things, because you openly say things, and it's kind of like you are welcoming that energy from us. But flat out, Jackie, if the woman don't want you saying nothing about her weight, she's letting you know it's a problem. If I were you, I would stop. You know, that's just how I see that. So Andy brings up the pool party where Heavenly and Mariah got into it, and Mariah was saying, Damon, you need to get your wife. So Mariah ends up mentioning how Heavenly, you know, pretty much talks about, you know, her mother, and she said we shouldn't talk about kids, and that should be off limits, and mothers should be off limits. And, you know, Heavenly does that shit over and over, and it's just pure ignorance, and I can't stand that. Heavenly ends up saying that Mariah has said Mariah's mother, matter of fact, has said some very ugly things about her as well. So she can't sit up here and keep saying how people can't talk about her mother, but yet her mother be saying shit too. Heavenly mentioned how Mariah's mother beat Toya in the head with a purse, and has also made the comment that that's why Jackie can't have a baby, which I really feel is fucked up if she said that. And Mariah denies that her mother ever said that about Jackie. So, honey, that Mariah and Heavenly, they go back and forth arguing, because y'all know once Mariah's mother is brought up into anything, she goes off and starts acting a fool. She turns into Lakeisha, honey. So Andy makes a very good point to Mariah, saying that isn't it a double standard that your mother is allowed to say things about these women, but they can't say things you know, about her. So Heavenly mentions that Mariah was on Facebook Live, honey, saying that she was gonna bust a cap in Heavenly's ass, honey. So basically, it was actually Mariah saying her mother would bust a cap in Heavenly's ass, and then Heavenly brought up how Mariah's mother has said that Heavenly was pimping out her motherfucking daughter. And if somebody would say that to me, you guys, I would be very pissed off. Then Heavenly goes off on Mariah, honey, saying, no, I'm pimping your ass, bitch, because you got 40 different Twitter accounts and you up late at night doing these videos on me. So Heavenly ends up calling Contessa out, saying, Contessa, isn't she a liar? And Contessa ends up wanting to stay out of it. And I'm just figuring out, like, what happened with Contessa. She asks Quad, is she a liar? And Quad admits that Mariah is a liar as well. So then, honey, Miss Quad comes at Mariah saying, hey, I'm going to say what I need to say, because Mariah was trying to cut her off. And that motherfucker Quad said, you cannot be on Facebook Live holding 45-minute symposiums, dragging me, and talking all this shit about me. And I agree, Quad, because Mariah, your ass does do that. You get on there dragging them, and her main defense is, well, I'm just saying shit because they be saying shit about me on the show. I'm just looking like, just keep it on the show. You don't need to get you and your mom and your sister on live talking shit about them and thinking that they're going to be okay with it. All Mariah has to say in response to that is, we're on a shady show. Y'all say shit. I'm going to keep saying my shit. So that's pretty much how she feels on that. So, honey, during the little break that they had, honey, that motherfucking Heavenly went and drew a mustache and devil horns all on Mariah's picture that's outside her door. Heavenly, you are childish for that. It was funny though, but it was unnecessary, Heavenly. You ain't need to do that, honey. So the next thing I know, I see Mariah crying over this, and she's talking about it's horrible and I would never do that to anybody. She's talking about the little drawing that Heavenly did. I'm looking like, bitch, you talk all this shit on your Facebook Live. Why are we crying over this? It's just all stupid. I would never cry over nobody drawing no picture, like drawing devil's horns and a mustache. That wouldn't get me in no tears, honey. But that's how you dealing with a Facebook gangster. So as Mariah's crying, she talking about, well, now I gotta have security for my diamonds and all my things. And I'm just looking like, you are being overly dramatic, bitch. Mariah, I have been liking you, at the end of the season, I started liking you again. And it's just like you getting overly dramatic. Yes, Heavenly was wrong, but I just felt like she was carrying it way too far. So all the ladies get on Heavenly about what she did. And Heavenly was like, well, I thought it was funny. And Toya was like, no, this is what we was talking about earlier. You making a joke at the expense of other people's feelings, and it's not cool. Quad feels like Mariah did lie when she said she wasn't talking about them on her Facebook Live. So Quad is pretty much, what? She did something, you did something, now it needs to be over. Andy asks Heavenly, is she prepared to apologize to Mariah? And she's talking about, yeah, I apologize all the time. You know why you apologize all the time, Heavenly? Because your ass know you go do some more shit to piss them off. That fucking Heavenly, y'all, is a fucking nut. So Andy asks Jackie what has been her experience, watching the season unfold on television. Jackie says that it's been a very traumatic experience and she works hard to, just stay strong and keep up, her image. Jackie just pretty much mentions that it was very uncomfortable sharing, how her husband cheated on her and how it's all out there for everybody to judge and to see. And, she was just really hurt by that. And that's understandable. So Andy asks Quad, what has her experience been, watching the show back with Dr. G. And I've been taking care of you since the day I met you. Quad said it has still been very challenging in her marriage on a daily basis, but they are working towards, finding some solutions on the big mess that they have made. And that's actually the first time I have noticed that Quad has actually taken responsibility and not just blamed everything on Dr. G. So that was big of her. And Andy also asked Simone, how did you feel watching back everything? How is everything going with you guys now? And Simone pretty much says that things have been difficult for her and Cecil because after the season wrapped, it's been difficult trying to spend time with each other. They both had to go to the kids' games and, they both dropped the ball on, doing the work in their marriage. And because of that, Simone has filed for a divorce. Everybody is stunned. Everybody ends up crying. Everybody looks to Simone and Cecil. They were the leaders of the group. And it is sad, and I cried as well, because it's just like, damn, it's like, it feels final. I do hope, you guys, they end up working things out. I hope that this is not final, because they do seem like they love each other and have a great family. But, you know, no matter what, I'll always love Simone and Cecil separately, together. It don't matter, really. I just want them to try to work things out the best way that they can. That's pretty much my recap, you guys, on Married to Medicine. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It is your girl, Brand New, and I'm out.